Well, first of all, it will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface.
Wow.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
So we're into 6G now. I just 5G. I was a leader on 5G, getting that done, and now they're up to 6.
Let's do it again.
What does that do? Give you a little bit deeper view into somebody's skin? See how perfect it is? I like the cameras the old days. So they just had a nice feature. Now they cover every little. Let's see, Michael, you're in good shape. You're not gonna. But I tell you, it's the 6 is coming, huh?
It's been billed as the connection that will change the way we interact with technology and the world around us. 6G is expected to not only speed up cellular and internet connectivity, it also promises to blur the lines between the physical and digital realms. And China appears to be leading the way in developing the next generation of digital connection. Here to tell us more about this is our Post China desk reporter, Victoria Bella.
But with 6G, the goal really is to fuse the human and digital worlds together. The aim is to sort of bring those two closer together and make smarter, more intelligent, and more interesting technologies possible. It'll also expand upon the current capabilities of 5G, so it'll make it faster and smarter, but also more energy efficient. We could see our future meetings being held with holograms. We could see some really realistic worlds in augmented reality. We could also see digital twins become more common. They are an exact virtual replica of an object or a system that is updated in real time. And so those could be used to develop very smart maps for navigation systems. They could even be used in human telemedicine to perform surgeries. So the applications are pretty expensive, and 6G will also likely be combined in combination with other technologies like AI, and we could see some really interesting things emerge from that.
The mark of the beast. How is it possible, we would all say, that you could track every human being in the world and know where they are and how they get their money and where they spend their money? I mean, that's just impossible. And here we sit going, oh no, they're tracking us right now. They know exactly where we spend our money and where we get our money, because it says you won't be able to buy or sell unless you have the mark of the beast. You could replace the word beast with system.
Revelation says that.
Oh yeah, without the mark.
You won't be able to buy or sell
unless you bear the mark of the beast. And when you go back and look that up in the Hebrew, it's talking about the global power that's in place at that point, the system that is in place.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin, their body temperature. Like we walked in here, we had to go through a body temperature test. Well, I think maybe in a couple of decades when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And if this was the moment when everything became monitored, that we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin. The biometric sensor. It's the thing, it's the gadget, it's the technology that converts biological data into digital data that can be analyzed by computers. And having the ability to really monitor people under the skin, this is the biggest game changer of all. With this kind of surveillance, I mean, you watch the big president, the big leader, gives a speech on television. The television could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry or not, just by analyzing the cues, the biological cues coming from your body. So people are now watching us online, all over the world, this conversation. Now, maybe even right now, the people who are watching us are being watched and analyzed. And the thing is, it's not just you're now watching this. The thing is, we know that you are watching this, and we also know how you feel. Are you angry about what you hear? Are you frightened? Are you bored? This is the kind of power that Stalin didn't have. You know, when Stalin gave a speech, everybody, of course, clapped their hand and smiled. Now, how do you know what they really think about Stalin? It's very difficult. You can't have a KGB agent following everybody all the time. Even if you do it, he's just watching your outside behavior. He doesn't really know what's happening in your mind. But in 10 years, the future Stalins of the 21st century, they could be watching the minds, the brains of all the population all the time. And also they will have the computing power to analyze all that. You know, it's not just having an agent following everybody all the time. The agent in Stalin's days writes a paper report, and you have these millions of paper reports piling up in Moscow. Somebody needs to read them, to analyze them. That's impossible. Now you don't need human agents. You don't need human analyzers. You just have a lot of sensors and an AI which analyzes it, and that's it. You have the worst totalitarian regime in history. And COVID is important because COVID legitimizes some of the crucial steps, even in democratic countries.
That they will know where you spend your money, where you get your money. Reminds me of central bank digital currency, if something like that happens.
So I've read, I'm embarrassed. This is being recorded. I probably shouldn't admit this. I've read Revelation, actually.
Sure.
And I tried to understand it last year. I didn't realize it said, how did I miss that? It says you can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast.
Without the mark. Yes, that's
John,
correct.
on the Apostle John on some Greek island 2,000 years ago said that.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so,
Damn.
so prior to technology showing up where it's at now in 2024, these things were impossible. Couldn't he? I mean, how's that going to happen?
That's a pretty specific call, though. Too.
Very specific. Yeah. So now all the things that need to exist physically are all here now, so that the prophecies that have been laid out could now physically manifest. Now, I don't know if that's going to be today or 100 years from now or 1,000 years from now. I don't know the answer to that, but I do know this is a new era. So when you read Revelation and you read Daniel and you read these other prophecies, it now doesn't sound like science fiction anymore because we see it every single day. The real war is not Trump and Biden. The real war is not left and right. The real war is not culture war. It says in Ephesians, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and powers and the rulers of spiritual darkness of this earth, of this world. That is the battle. That's the real battle. And they say, you know, in the Bible, it says you can't see that because there's a thin veil between the physical and the spiritual and what's going on just on the other side of the veil. But when you read Daniel and you read Revelation, it says at some point that veil will be torn.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
It's a new technological innovation, the fourth one, is changing to a large extent ourselves. It's a who is affected. Just think of, there's a countryman, and I have nearly a bad conscience to talk about those things in Israel, which is so far advanced. But if you look at the book of Professor Hariri, Homo Deus, you see, brain advancement, and when you see what's happening in artificial intelligence and so on. So it's augmenting ourselves.
Marcus Alden is the first author. The first demonstration in a human hepatic or liver cell line that the Pfizer vaccine, in fact, reverse transcribes and installs DNA into the human genome.
The Internet of Things is moving inside the human body. And so we are creating this Internet of Bodies, which is comprised of 3 generations of technology: body external technology, body embedded technology, and soon body melded technology. The 3rd generation is a body melded generation. This is a situation that is depicted in the Neural Lace project of Elon Musk, for example, or other cortex interface technologies where a human brain has a real-time connection to a remote machine with live updates.
With especially the rise of brain-computer interfaces and biometric sensors and so forth, it is very likely that within, say, 50 years, people will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net, because your own body parts, your own immune system, perhaps depends on being constantly connected to the colony, to the network.
So what does this mean when your own body testifies, question mark, against you, or provides evidence against you? This is all unsettled and interesting law. Major companies are investing in these technologies. Here we have an article about Google patenting injected contact lenses that have an internet connection. Here we have another article about a different patent where Sony is working on creating contact lenses that film what you see. So it's the Google Glass model, but it's gone inside the eye in a way that's less visually detectable to a third party.
I would presume it would be consensual, because you definitely don't want just people, sending stuff into your brain without your consent.
There's a joint report